The morning sun had barely risen when Hollywood was rocked by headlines that no one saw coming. A scandal, shocking, unfiltered, and centered around Sam Heughan, spread like wildfire across news outlets and social media feeds. Within hours, the internet had turned into a battlefield of speculation, anger, and disbelief. Sam, long celebrated for his charm and clean reputation, suddenly found his name dragged into the very kind of controversy he had always avoided. Words like betrayal and secret affair were splashed across tabloids, igniting a frenzy of gossip. The question on everyone's lips was the same: what did Sam Heughan do, and why now? But while the world debated in living rooms and online forums, Caitríona Balfe lived the nightmare in real time. When news of the scandal reached her, the actress, so often composed, graceful, and in control, broke down. Friends described her as utterly devastated, unable to hide her tears as whispers of Sam's involvement grew louder. Cameras soon captured her pale face, eyes swollen with grief, as she entered a private hospital wing. The image hit harder than the headlines themselves. Katrina in tears, vulnerable, human, undone by the weight of Sam's scandal, was enough to silence even the harshest critics for a moment. Fans flooded social media with hashtags like #PrayForCatriona and #StandByHer, while others turned their rage towards Sam, demanding answers. As the hours passed, confusion deepened. Was the scandal tied to a personal betrayal? A secret relationship? Or was it something even darker, something Sam had buried beneath years of carefully guarded silence? No one could say for certain. But one thing was undeniable: Katrina was hurting, and Hollywood had never seen her like this before. By late afternoon, journalists swarmed outside the hospital, their cameras poised like predators waiting for prey. Reporters shouted questions, but no official statement came. The only thing the public got was a fleeting glimpse of Katrina's tear-streaked face through the glass doors of the hospital. That single moment, her breaking down in front of the world, became the image of the scandal itself. And then came the whispers. Whispers that inside the sterile white walls of the hospital, Sam Heughan himself had arrived. That behind closed doors, he spoke words to Katrina that no one else was meant to hear. A confession. The kind of confession that could shake not only Katrina, but the entire foundation of Hollywood itself. The world outside Caitríona Balfe's hospital window buzzed with chaos. Paparazzi camped in clusters, their lenses aimed at every movement. Fans clutched handwritten signs, some crying out in support for Katrina, others demanding the truth from Sam Heughan. The hospital, meant to be a refuge, had become the epicenter of Hollywood's most shocking scandal. Inside, the atmosphere was no calmer. Nurses whispered in hushed tones, security doubled at every entrance, and even the doctors seemed tense, aware that they were witnessing history unfold. And then, in the late hours of the night, Sam Heughan appeared. He wasn't flanked by publicists or bodyguards. He came alone, his face pale, his eyes shadowed by exhaustion. Clutching his cap low over his brow, Sam walked the sterile halls until he reached Katrina's room. Witnesses later described the moment. The door shut softly behind him, and for nearly an hour, silence hung over the hospital floor. But silence doesn't last long in Hollywood. According to a nurse who happened to pass by, Sam's voice could be heard through the door, low, trembling, but unmistakably raw. He was confessing, not in front of cameras, not in front of fans, but to Katrina herself. "I can't hide it anymore," he reportedly said, words that sent shivers down the spine of those who overheard. The details of that confession remain murky. Some sources insist Sam admitted to a secret that would upend his image forever, a hidden relationship, a truth about his personal life that Hollywood wasn't prepared for. Others say it was an apology, a desperate attempt to mend what had been broken between him and Katrina. But what everyone agrees on is this: Katrina cried. Not just quiet tears, but sobs that echoed down the hospital corridor. One staff member described it as the sound of a woman hearing something she both feared and needed to know. By morning, the whispers of Sam's confession had already leaked. Tabloids labeled it The hospital confession that shook Hollywood. Talk shows debated what it meant, while fans picked apart every rumor, desperate to piece together the truth. Meanwhile, Katrina remained in the hospital, her condition stable but her spirit visibly shaken. A close friend revealed she had whispered a single haunting line after Sam left. "The world will never look at him the same way again." Those words only fueled speculation. What had Sam admitted? Why had it left Katrina in such visible pain? And, most importantly, when would he finally face the public? The scandal was no longer just about Sam Heughan. It was about a confession, whispered inside a hospital room, that now threatened to rewrite the story of two of Hollywood's brightest stars. And as Hollywood braced for the next headline, one thing was clear. Sam's silence would not protect him much longer. By dawn, the whispers of Sam's late-night confession had spiraled into a storm. What was once contained inside a hospital room now echoed across Hollywood like thunder. News anchors used words like career-ending and reputation-shattering as they speculated on what Sam had revealed. For Sam, time was running out. His silence had been a shield, but with every passing hour, that shield cracked under the weight of expectation. Fans demanded clarity, studios feared financial fallout, and even his closest friends urged him to speak before the rumors consumed him whole. Meanwhile, Katrina's tears had become a haunting image replayed endlessly on TV screens. The world wanted to know, what had she heard? And why had it broken her so deeply? Then came the announcement that sent the entertainment world into frenzy. Sam Heughan would make a public statement in front of cameras. No cryptic Instagram posts, no whispers behind closed doors. This time, it would be his voice, his truth, spoken directly to the world. Would he confirm the secret that left Katrina in tears? Would he try to twist the narrative, or embrace the storm head-on? One thing was certain. When Sam stepped up to the microphone, Hollywood would never be the same again. As the announcement spread, tension gripped Hollywood like a vice. Reporters scrambled to secure front-row seats for what was being called the statement of the decade. Entertainment networks cleared their schedules, preparing for live coverage of Sam's words. Even politicians, athletes, and fellow celebrities weighed in online, proof that the scandal had crossed beyond Hollywood's glittering walls into the heart of global culture. Outside the hospital, the crowd grew restless. Supporters held up banners. "We believe you, Sam." Others shouted angrily, demanding accountability. The mix of hope and fury mirrored the uncertainty in Sam's own life. Behind closed doors, Katrina remained silent. She refused interviews, ignored the journalists waiting outside her ward. But those close to her insisted her tears weren't just of betrayal, they were of fear. Fear of what Sam might reveal. Fear of how it would alter everything they had built, not just as colleagues, but as two lives forever intertwined in the public's imagination. And as the clock ticked closer to Sam's scheduled appearance, whispers turned into roars. What will he say? The world wasn't just waiting for an explanation. It was waiting for the truth, and for the fallout that would follow.